Hey everybody, Dr. Hill here, and on chapter 22 and 23, the week that we covered the Aorist, I provided this little diagnostic. It says it's a quiz. It does not count towards your grade, but I thought it might be helpful because it lists all verbs that we've learned to date, and it makes you provide the gloss for them, so you to know what they mean. And then it also gives you the aorist form, and I just asked you to identify whether it is a first aorist, sigma alpha, or a second aorist where there is a stem or a root change. And so just to go through and kind of talk through these, this is just a really hopefully helpful to identify what you know, what you don't know. So I'm just going to walk across. And if you want to just pause this, if you don't want to go through the whole video, that's fine. You just pause it and then you can do your own grading to see how you're at. But let me just walk through this. Akuo means I hear. Akusa, that's a first aorist. Because you can see the saw tense formative. First aorist, saw tense formative. Blepo, I see. Eblepsa, that is also a first aorist. You can't see the saw because it is a P. It ends in a P and then that becomes a Psi. But it's a first aorist because it has a saw. It's formed with a saw tense formative. Echo, I have. Esgon, we have a stem change. That makes it a second aorist. There's no saw tense formative on there. We have a stem change. Okay, so second aorists do not have a saw tense formative. They identify themselves as aorist because they use an aorist stem. Okay, luo, I loose, elusa, first aorist. Pistuo, I believe, epistusa, saw tense formative, first aorist. Agapao, I love, agapesa, all contract verbs are first aorists. You can see the saw. Zeteo, I seek, first aorist. Kaleo, I call, first aorist. Laleo, I say or I speak, first aorist. Oida, I know. Adane, no saw tense formative, second aorist. Ekbalo, I cast out. Exebalon, notice how that augment changes ek to x. There's your augment. It's a second aorist. Stem change, no saw tense formative. Erkamai, I come. Aelthon, it's a root change. Got to memorize that. Got to memorize that. Second aorist. Plerao, I fill or fulfill, first aorist. Poieo, I do or I make, first aorist. Tereo, I keep or I guard, first aorist. Apokrinamai, middle only also as an aorist. It is a liquid. So no saw tense formative, but an alpha tense formative. It's a first aorist liquid. Lego, I say. Apon, I should say. Apon, root change, just like you have to memorize erkamai, you got to memorize Lego. And that is a second aorist. Okay? Apon there. Pino, I drink, is epion, second aorist. Root change, or stem change, I should say. Sunago, sunegagon, root change, or stem change, second aorist. Genao, egenesa, that's a saw tense formative, first aorist. Zao, there's your saw tense formative, first aorist. Genao as I beget, zao as I live, sunago as I gather, pino I drink, you can see that. Proskuneo, I pray, there's your saw tense formative, first aorist. Iro, I lift up or I take away. Ara, first aorist. It is a liquid. It's a liquid, so you don't see the saw tense formative. You only see the alpha, and that alpha iota lengthens to that eta. It's a liquid. First aorist liquid. Apoktano is I kill. It's also a first liquid, so you only see the alpha. Apostello, I send. Apostela is a first aorist liquid. It's an irregular in that way. Let's keep going. Our next page. Okay. Baptizo, I baptize. There's your saw tense formative, first aorist. Gnosko, I know. Egnon, it's a second aorist. We have a stem change that goes on there. Egero, I raise up. Egera is also a liquid, a first aorist liquid. Crino, I judge. Ekrina, it's also a first aorist liquid. You don't see a saw, again, because you have a stem that ends in a lambda mu nu or rho. Okay? Meno, I abide, I remain, first aorist liquid. Harao, I see, adon, it's a root change. It's another one we got to memorize, like erkamai, like lego, harao, adon, it's a second aorist. Okay? Sozo, I save, there's your sigma alpha transformative, first aorist. Akalutheo, it's a contract, so it's a first aorist, I follow. Didasko, I teach. The kasi, that ki becomes a kasi. There's your saw, first aorist. Eperotao, I ask or demand. There's your sigma alpha transformative, first aorist. Thelo, I wish, I will, I desire. There's your saw transformative, first aorist. Peripateo, I walk, periepatesa, first aorist. Apathnesko, I die. We have a stem change. Apethanon, second aorist. Ginamai, I become. There's your stem change, second aorist. All the erkamais, ace erkamai, I come in. All these are second aorist because they have this root change. Ace erkamai, ex erkamai, I come in, I go out, second aorist. Heurisco, I find. Huron is the second aorist form, second aorist. Lambano, I take or I receive. Elaban, second aorist. Pros erkamai, we've already done erkamais, second aorist, I go toward. Pros eukamai is I pray. And then pros euxamains, it is a middle only. And you do have a saw transformative in there. That this ki becomes a kasi with the saw transformative, first aorist. Up erkamai, I depart. Up elthon, second aorist. Arco, I begin or I rule. Erxamain, it is a middle only as an aorist. The saw transformative is showing up there, first aorist. Grapho, I write. Egropsa, you see the saw transformative, first aorist. Doxadzo, edoxasa, you see that there, first aorist. I glorify. Keruso, I preach. Ekeruxa, first aorist. All right. Hopefully that was helpful, and hopefully it was a good diagnostic to see how you're doing and if you're recognizing the first aorist. It's also just a good review to see how aorists are formed with the verbs that we know.